Well, I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. We'll tackle all sorts of controversial topics, so stay tuned for that. But between now and then, lots of great guests and information to bring to you. Talking about some big events, too, including River Run International Film Festivals coming up. We'll tell you about that. We have a film clip. Also, science is everywhere, according to UNCG, because they have a big science event for the whole family. We'll talk about that. It's just around the corner. And we'll have a serious discussion about how important it is to be ready for college and career. We'll do that with some good folks at Randolph Community College. All that and much more. But first, speaking of big events, we have a big one coming up that's going to benefit a great organization, and we have three great people to help us work through this topic on my immediate right. David Daggett, of course, attorney with Daggett Schuler, and David and his partner Griff have brought along a special guest, Brent Bennett, who is board member of the Down Syndrome Association of Greater Winston-Salem, and bringing up the rear, and I mean that in the best possible way, Griff Schuler, of course, attorney with Daggett Schuler. Welcome, gentlemen. Good to see you.
Thank you, Jim.
Brent, I'm going to start with you. For people that may not know, what's, just very quickly, a few seconds, what's the mission of the Down Syndrome Association? What do y'all do?
Well, we do different activities each month, and we have a good turnout.
And I think, you know, parents, especially parents, maybe with Down's kids, sometimes
Yes.
look for support, advice from you. Is that right?
Yes.
And you can help them on that. Now, the thing we want to talk about is the big Deacon Dash coming up. Now, why do you do that? I mean, what's the purpose of that?
I like to see the runners run and work with Mr. David Daggett.
Yeah. Well,
You got to put it with him.
yeah, I wouldn't compliment him too much. He'll get to.
You might get the big hit.
That's right. David, the Deacon Dash, David, is coming up pretty soon, and we're going to have on screen in just a little while. We'll tell everybody when and where it is, but I think it is Saturday, March 30th. But now, why your involvement with the Down Syndrome Association? How did you get involved? Why?
Well, I got asked a number of years ago. I had a cousin with Down syndrome, and so it's near and dear to my heart. And the 3-2-1 Deacon Dash for Down syndrome is a great event. Brent's the official starter for the race.
All right.
Yes.
And so he tells me what to do and where to go, and then Brent starts the race.
Well, I've tried to tell you where to go before, but it's,
Well, Brent's better at that than you.
that's right.
And
He's so fun to be around.
Yeah.
Yes, he
And
really is.
I think we need to say Brent's the first person with Down syndrome ever to be on this show.
right.
So it's great. There's a tremendous lesson for all of us, and that's the lesson. I'm probably going to cry, Brent.
Go ahead.
Of inclusiveness and acceptance.
Right.
And I don't mean us accepting them. I mean the example of Brent accepting us.
Yeah.
In the Down syndrome community, Brent always has a smile.
Yeah.
That community always has a smile. The 3-2-1 Deacon Dash is a celebratory event. It's a fundraiser. The 3-2-1 is the 3 pairs of the 21 chromosome, which is what people with Down syndrome have. And it's a great 5K event
Right.
with an additional add-on to make it 3.21 for Down syndrome.
Now, Griff, is this something that guys that are out of shape like me, I mean, can you walk this thing?
Sure, and actually, Jim, before the 5K, there's a fun run. So there's a fun run before the 5K that people can take part of. But it's a 5K that is open to everybody, serious runners, as well as anybody that just wants to come out and support and walk. And it's just such a great group to support. And David and I are always looking for opportunities to support the people on Down syndrome.
You guys are great with that. Before we lose time, I want to mention on screen the 3-2-1 Deacon Dash for Down syndrome, Saturday, March 30th, 8:30 a.m. at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds. The website's up on screen too, dsagws.org, and I believe that's a new website, a new phone number that's on screen as well. And look, if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate money, if you just want to be involved with the association for support, that's important. And also a plug for David and Griff, DaggettSchulerLaw.com. Their number is 724-1234 if you'd like to make an appointment with them. A few seconds left, David.
Yeah, so last year, you can't announce this in advance under NCAA rules, but last year we had the Wake Forest soccer team, when they were ranked #1 in the nation, join the Down syndrome community at the finish line, greeting all the finishers. It was a great time. Brent and I were there. Brent goes down, he signals when he sees the first runner.
Always some surprises there.
It keeps me on track.
Congratulations, Brent, and keep these guys straight, will you?
It's hard to keep Mr. Daggett straight.
That's right. All right. Good job, guys. Thanks for all you do, Griff and David. All right. We'll be right back after this. Triad Today. I'm proud to say that I'm an alumnus of UNCG, but they are not proud to have me because I was not good in science. But fortunately, we have two people with me today who excel in science, and there's a big science event coming up that's for everybody. We're going to learn about it on my immediate right. Let's meet them right now. Caitlin Miller is a grad student in the biology department at UNCG. Next to her, Professor Christopher Ray, Associate Department Chair, among other things, for research in the Department of Kinesiology. Did I say that right?
You got it.
Good. We're going to do a whole show on kinesiology sometime.
Oh, I love it.
Learn about that. Christopher, let me start with you. Now, remind us what this big is called Science Everywhere. Now, what is that all about?
So it's a free, interactive, hands-on event at UNC Greensboro on our campus. It is a day to become a scientist. We'll have all kinds of activities across campus in science, technology, engineering, and math. And it is part of the Greater North Carolina Science Festival, which is a statewide celebration of science.
Right. Now, it sounds exciting, but now let's take somebody like me. I'm 65 years old. Let's say I'm terrible in science, which is the truth. But let's say my grandkids or somebody want to go. Now, is this for the whole family? Can adults enjoy this?
Yeah, it's a family event. It's designed for everyone, and we'll have activities for children as young as 3. And then there'll be stations across the entire campus, and folks will be able to interact with different levels of science based on what ages are there and what those interactions are like in terms of their interests.
I want to check with Caitlin now because that brings up this question. How many activities will be on display and what kind of science are we going to see?
Right, so this year we're going to have well over 70 activities all throughout campus. And some of these activities represent different types of sciences like biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, computer programming, and even some other sciences like that.
Well, let me put you on the spot about this. Since you're a biology person, are you and your biology buddies going to do a special kind of demonstration or display or whatever?
Yeah, so my lab in particular, we're doing activity involving human viruses, and so we're going to have activities to teach about very common human viruses and how to prevent the spread of viruses that we kind of encounter a lot, like the viruses that cause the common cold and flu.
Well, that would be helpful for kids and adults to learn about that stuff. Because, seriously though, I mean, people think, well, if I've got this, I'll take an antibiotic, then they find out that didn't help at all. Well, you can sort of educate people about those things. All right, but there are also, Caitlin, there are also some hands-on things for the younger folks, right?
Oh, definitely. So some examples of some great activities are you make your own necklace from your own DNA. There's going to be great visual representations of chemical reactions. Even looking at the ecosystem, some really hands-on and up-close interactions with reptiles and amphibians, insects, and even plants.
Insects, boy, and I can make my own DNA necklace. Huh?
Yes.
All right, that's scary for me. Christopher, will you be sending the kids home and parents with any goodies or anything, or even their projects or experiments?
Absolutely. There's free T-shirts while supplies last, and so definitely Science Everywhere T-shirts that Caitlin is sporting here.
Right.
But also from any of the projects, there's a number of projects that the kids will actually get to take home. Those projects. We'll also have shuttles and parking around to help facilitate maneuvering around campus.
Well, Christopher, what do you hope people will glean from all this?
So as a state institution, it's really our responsibility to interact with our community to get kids excited, and in this particular case about STEM. So the whole goal is to introduce kids to science and all the STEM activities to really kind of light a fire with them.
Yeah, at an early age. We have a few seconds left before I go to the graphic here, and since you mentioned Caitlin's T-shirt that you're going to give away, Lori, our director, let's see Caitlin here for a second, and let me ask you while we're looking at you and your T-shirt, what's gratifying to you about this event?
For me, it's for us in the science community, it's being able to share what we find really interesting and fun with everyone else, and really showing that science is quite literally everywhere and part of our everyday lives, even though we may not realize it.
Well, I think this is great. Up on screen, Science Everywhere, Saturday, April 13th, 12 noon to 4 p.m. all over UNCG. Now, here's the website, Science Everywhere. There's 2 E's in there, so it's scienceeverywhere.uncg.edu. Check it out, and also uncg.edu is the general website. To Caitlin and Christopher, thanks for what you're doing.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right. We'll be right back. Getting ready, being prepared for college, for career. It's important, and there are 2 guests with us right now that know how important it is to folks that need to get ready, and we're going to meet them right now. Jordan Williamson, on my immediate right, is Director of Adult Basic Education and Adult High School at Randolph Community College, and next to her, Abraham Encinas is Coordinator for English for Speakers of Other Languages. That's what we refer to as ESOL. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Pleasure to be here.
Jordan, I'm going to start with you. What's the mission or goals of Randolph College's, Community College's Career Readiness Program? Tell me about that.
Alongside the mission of RCC, creating opportunities and changing lives, we assist adult learners with completing their education and also learning English.
Right. Now, I'll get into ESL in more depth in just a second with Abraham, but in general, Jordan, what kind of, you don't have to list the whole thing, but give me some examples of programs that might be offered under this whole umbrella thing.
Our high school equivalency, which is formerly known as GED, completing the high school diploma, and also our adult high school diploma program, which is where students finish out the credits that they didn't finish in high school. So we serve a non-traditional student.
Right. Now, Abraham, tell me about the ESOL, the speakers for English speakers of other languages, why it's such an integral part of Randolph Community College's College and Career Readiness Program. Tell me about it.
It's an important part of an important component of our program because as the community college has one of the main goals is to serve all populations, and here in ESOL we serve about 22 nationalities.
Wow.
And so we have students that ages range from 17 to 80, 68 and beyond. We show
to 68.
68.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also we have from non-literate students to PhD holders.
Yeah, and I don't know what's reading anybody's mind here or jump on this, but it seems to me like if I'm in my 60s, you know, suppose I'm just come from your home country of Peru, and maybe I haven't learned English yet, but I have great skills. You need to get me ready for a job, so you got to go through the ESL first anyway, right?
Right, that's correct. We believe that literature and learning English is the foundation, so to speak, the bedrock to get started and become a more educated workforce in the community and also self-sustaining, solid members of our community.
Right. Now, Jordan, and this is really for both of you, and you don't have to name names or anything, but think about here, I'll put you on the spot, any success stories you might be thinking of people who, and even people who have hired people. Success stories maybe because of your work here. Can you think of any examples?
And most recently we had a graduate who we sort of, we bridged the two between ESOL and the GED program. He started in ESOL, learned the language, transitioned to high school equivalency, completed his diploma to help him go into the workforce, and that's our ultimate goal. So overcoming barriers not only within ESOL but also our program as well.
Right, and I saw you shaking your head. Yeah, you believe it's
yes,
really
I believe that because I see myself when the students come, they can't even say hello, how are you doing? You know, as I said earlier, we have over 22 nationalities, so it's a little bit challenging, but we know the importance of educate our newcomers, our new neighbors in the community in order to have a more solid, self-sustained members.
Well, I think that's great. Now, Jordan, how can students enroll in this College and Career Readiness program?
Well, by contacting the College and Career Readiness at Randolph Community College. Our phone number 336-633-0106. That will also get you signed up for ESOL orientation.
Okay.
And it's never too late. So please come see us. We would love, love, love to show you what opportunities are out there once you complete your education.
Well, that's right. And up on the screen, I want to make sure people see www.randolph.edu, which is the general website for there, and I hope you'll check it out. And I want to make sure I got your number right because I'm slow on this stuff. 633-0106 gets right into the program.
That's
I just
great.
think what you're doing is great, Jordan and Abraham, and helping people get ready and getting into the workplace. That makes everybody more productive. Thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
We'll be right back after. Back now on Triad Today. I'm excited about having this guest with me because each year he makes the River Run International Film Festival better, bigger, better, better. It's just great. Next to me, our good friend Rob Davis, Executive Director of River Run International Film Festival. Welcome back, sir.
Well, thank you, Jim. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Good to see you. Now, when is this year's festival and how many films will be screened?
Well, this year's festival is April 4th through the 14th. And Jim, I'm so excited because this is truly one of our biggest river runs ever. We have 172 films from 47 countries.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Now, people can't possibly see 147 films, but they can see a lot. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to ask you how sort of to maneuver that. But before I want to make sure we have time to run just a 30-second clip of this. You sent me some film clips of some of the films they're going to be seeing.
Yes.
And one of them I just thought was hilarious. It's called Bathtubs Over Broadway, and then basically it's just some guy found some old footage of corporate videos that none of us would have seen.
He did. He was, I'll tell you, he's a writer for the David Letterman show.
Right.
And he was writing on that show and doing the segment called Dave's Record Collection.
Yeah.
So one day he's at a used record store in New York trying to find some material, and he pulls out an album that says Ford Tractor Show 1967, not for commercial use.
Exactly.
And he discovers this world of industrial musicals.
And some of this is funny. Let's watch it, just a quick clip of this.
It's hard to top The Bathrooms Are Coming. What a great thing.
I thought he made it
I thought he made it up too.
And like it was this thing in our family.
I was working at the Letterman show as a comedy writer. I started finding these mysterious corporate records. Musicals, but about tractors or silicone products. I didn't know anything about musical theater, but I was pretty sure it wasn't supposed to be this.
My bathroom is a private kind of place.
The dishwasher and the
Everybody was doing these things. Giant companies, tiny companies.
If the patient gets bloody.
I found some sort of treasure trove that we weren't supposed to know about at all.
Is the way. Yes, sir. Everything's coming.
I tell you what, I can't wait to see the whole thing of Bathtubs Over Broadway. That's fascinating. Any special guests you want to tell us that are coming?
Well, we have several special guests coming. I'll tell you two that I am really excited about. We're going to give Master of Cinema Awards to a husband and wife team, Paula Prentice and Richard Benjamin.
Are they still together?
They are still together, one of the longest marriages in Hollywood.
So talented.
And they've both had such great careers. You know, she as an actress and he as an actor, but then also as a very successful director as well.
That's right. And people, if you haven't seen, well, you know, you can Google stuff and watch, but they're just great actors. I think that's exciting. Now, is there an admission to get into River Run? You said 147 films. My gosh, I mean, how are we going to maneuver that, and do you charge for it or what?
Well, I'll tell you, they're typically for the evening films, it's $12, $6 for matinees. But when you get our film guide or you go online, what you will see, we have free Saturday morning cartoons, both Saturdays of the festival. And then the second Saturday is designated as Family Day. That's April 13th. And we'll have a big screening that night in Bailey Park in downtown Winston-Salem of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That's free. And I'm amazed when I go to Family Day screenings every year, you know, you see all ages of people there. And I can also report, Jim, every breed of canine comes out for that. So it's just a lot of fun. And then there's a lot of free educational panels and discussions in the festival too, and all of that's online or in the film guide.
Right, and I think I want to spend some time on this graphic, because if you want to get tickets, if you want to find out about the venues, because it's not all just in one place. Look at this, River Run International Film Festival, April 4th through 14th is what Rob mentioned, in Winston-Salem. The website, River Run, and remember there's 2 R's in there, riverrunfilm.com. For our radio listening audience in WSJS, riverrunfilm.com. I also want to thank, before we run out of time, the good folks, Rich and Marquita at Visit Winston-Salem, who handle all the tourism promotion for the city. They do a great job. Visit winstonsalem.com. Their website is up on screen as well. We have a few seconds remaining, Rob. People can find out through the website I gave how to get tickets and where everything is, right?
Absolutely. All 172 films are on that website. Complete ticket information. Everything they need to experience River Run is on the website.
I don't know how you do it. And folks at home, if you notice, Rob has just about lost his voice because he's out promoting this thing, but he does a great job. Thanks for all you do.
Jim, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Okay. We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, and time for the round table. On my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster, journalist. Next to him, Dr. Don Martin. You know, I always put that doctor in front of there.
I know.
You
don't have to.
I've got a pain here if you can look at this. No, not that kind of doctor. Dr. Don Martin, High Point University professor, also vice chair of the Forsyth County Commissioners, and the esteemed David Daggett from Daggett Schuler, who you saw earlier in the program talking about that big event coming up, Deacon Dash to benefit Down Syndrome Association. And thanks for all your work and Griff's work with that, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys, let's get to it. On previous roundtables, we've talked about proposals for teachers to carry guns in school. But now a state lawmaker has proposed a bill that would give a salary increase to teachers who carry a gun at school, providing they undergo the proper training. Are you guys okay with dangling a pay raise in front of teachers if they carry a gun? Ogie?
It's only the worst idea ever, Jim. I find me one education major who majored in to be a teacher and said, oh boy, I get to pack heat and get paid for it. Oh, for joy, for joy. Yeah. Plus we can't even get incentive based to get a master's degree to take that money into armed teachers. That's stupid.
Don.
And I did that. I'm against it, period, and paying them just makes it worse.
Yeah, and you're an educator. You would never see yourself as a superintendent.
Absolutely not. That's not the business we're in.
Yeah. And it could be dangerous too, I guess. David, your thoughts?
I defer to the Honorable Dr. Don Martin.
Right.
But I agree. If we got excess money for education, let's put it toward education.
Yeah. And there's always a danger too. What do they say about if there's a shooter in the school that they're not going to know who they're shooting, and it could be it's a bad situation. I understand the rationale though. A 4th grade Utah boy showed up for class sporting ashes on his forehead, which he had received at a Catholic mass. Now, his teacher made him wipe off this ash religious symbol, and the symbol of a cross. Should kids be allowed to wear religious symbols to school, guys? And did the teacher violate his right to free expression? Thoughts, Ogie?
Jim, you know I'm a strong proponent of separation of church and state. But you got to be reasonable about this thing. I mean, kids have done this. It's not that egregious a thing. You got to be reasonable about it. Come on.
What do you think, Don?
Well, I have a lawyer on my right here.
Yeah, I know you do.
But for my school law training, the student has that right. They can wear whatever they want to wear as long as they're not hurting someone, offending someone, or causing disruption and trouble.
So you had, when you were superintendent of schools, you had plenty of kids wearing religious symbols, right?
Yes. Back in we've had a lot of discussion about Confederate memorials, the Confederate flag T-shirts. Some cases, if there's evidence that it has caused disruption, it could be.
Has to take it off, David.
Yeah, I again agree with the Honorable Dr. Martin, but you know, hair covers, hairstyles. I gotta believe we're either not getting the full story on this one, or there's some real ignorance on the part of the teacher. One or the other.
All right. Speaking of schools, State Representative Donnie Lambeth, our friend, we all know Donnie, wants students to be allowed up to 2 excused absences per year if they attend legislative events in Raleigh, saying it's educational. You guys okay with that, Ogie?
I'm totally okay with that. I think it's a great idea. I would have taken him up on that. Kids need to learn how our government works and what your vote means.
David,
yeah.
Don?
No problem.
No problem with that, David.
Super idea. You need to give us something to argue about today.
Well,
we haven't argued yet.
That's right. All right. Now, Winston-Salem City Council's, here we go, is considering I'm just going to change it right in midstream. Is it okay to carry a gun on the Triad Today set? No. Winston-Salem City Council is considering a proposal that would allow bow hunters to hunt deer on private property in the city limits so long as the landowner says it's okay. Well, good idea or bad idea, Ogie?
I wish Honest Dave Plyler were here. That's a horrible idea. We run the deer off their native habitat, and they got no place to go, so then we shoot them in the limited space that they have to try to live. That's just cruel.
Don.
We got something to argue about here. I think it is perfectly fine. It is done across this country. Deer hunters usually hunt from a stand, 95%. My son-in-law is the best. He says to do it all the time.
But Dr. Daggett, as someone who helps people with injuries, couldn't this create injuries?
Well, there's got to be parameters. You know, how much border space do you have around, which direction you're shooting? I don't know enough about hunting to know all those parameters. However, we have an excess of deer. They're intruding into the city. Anybody who's a fan of the deer and wants to protect them has to realize that they're being harmed and tortured by being loose in the city already. I don't think it's a bad idea.
All right. The GAO reports that President Trump spent over $13 million of our money, taxpayer money, to pay 4 trips to Mar-a-Lago between January and March 2017. Now, should a resort that's owned by the president profit from taxpayer-funded visits? Ogie.
I hope the House Oversight Committee, and I'm sure they do, has all this evidence where Trump has profited from being president. These emoluments things, that's going to come back to haunt them big time. Wait and see.
Yeah, I think there is a conflict of interest issue. But by the way, when he goes anywhere, he takes an entourage. They're going to stay in a hotel. There are going to be hotel costs. I think if it goes to his hotel, it ought to be. It's kind of ought to be at cost. I mean, that ought to be the principle.
Reporters
of the
come,
matter.
other people come, and they're spending money their day.
Yeah, you asked a compound, complex question because you included the plane travel and that sort of thing. When you're president, you have to have that.
Right.
You have to have the entourage. You have to have the protection. You have to have the private plane. The question is the expense reasonable for the lodging, and or is that unduly benefiting him personally at the same time? That's the question.
All right, speaking of flying, our final topic, Delta Airlines is in hot water for passing out napkins that are imprinted with a message. This is a true story. The message on the napkins tells the passengers to give their phone numbers to another passenger to whom they are attracted. Guys, do you think these romance napkins were a good idea? Have you ever given your phone number to a stranger on a plane? Ogie.
Delta, do they need to be in the pimp business, really? I mean, are they pimping for their passengers now?
No.
No, I've not done it on a plane. I've done it. I have done
Don,
it.
have you given your phone?
I have given my phone number to someone on a plane.
David.
You're asking deep secrets here. I have given my phone number on a napkin. I'm not sure I've done it on a plane. I maybe would. I'm not sure the plane is the right place for the dating game.
Right. Okay. Well, that's pretty. We learn things about you guys on here. Things I don't want to know, as a matter of fact. All right. That's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. Last week, an Indiana man was adjusting his pants when his unholstered gun accidentally went off and shot him in the privates. Asked by the police if his weapon was concealed, the man said, "Not anymore." I don't know what that means. You know what that means?
That's better than
For all of us.
above average.
For all of us.
Good thing you got the bow on her.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see you next week.